recognize the inherent human rights of indigenous peoples, including what has become known as the legal and political doctrine of discovery. It also declared that the doctrine is not part of the Christian faith, but the Vatican is centuries late. The doctrine of discovery is a concept laid out in the so-called papal bulls. What are these? These are usually official statements from the head of the Catholic Church. That would be the Pope. So no less than the popes were involved in justifying European colonialism. Their decrees were used extensively in the conquest of Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Africa, and the United States. The colonizers claimed that they had the approval of the church to have sovereignty, property, and commercial rights in lands they discovered. Here's an example. Papal decrees in the 15th century permitted Portugal to subjugate Muslims and the non-Christians in Africa. That's not even the ugliest part of these decrees. The Vatican was quite explicit when it came to who Europe could colonize. It could only be non-Christians. So colonialism was essentially used as a tool by the Vatican to spread Christianity across the world. And the colonized countries paid a huge price. Take Canada, for instance. Between the 19th and the 20th centuries, more than 150,000 indigenous children were taken hostage in Canada. They were snatched away from their families and lodged against their will in the re-education institutions. Here, they were subjected to unspeakable atrocities. They were physically assaulted and sexually abused. Many of them didn't survive. They were buried in mass graves that are still being discovered in Canada. Last year, Pope Francis visited Canada. He apologized to the indigenous people for what the Vatican put them through. In 2015 too, the Pope apologized for the Catholic Church's action in Bolivia. He sought forgiveness not only for the offenses of the church but also for the crimes committed against the native people during the so-called conquest of America. Just so you know, European colonism was a vast and often very violent project. The whole world at some point or the other has been under the control of a European power. Look at the French Empire. It ruled over territory greater than the size of the Europe itself. Then there was the British Empire, the most notorious of them all. And its peak was about 25% of the world population was a subject of the British Empire. Apologies are welcome and long overdue, but preparations will be the closest they'll come to making amends.
Site n'ihe nwa amadi ya kwuru, o dogo ewu na ọkụkọ anya na-eboro ndị Igbo ebubo dị iche iche. Ya bụ na akụkọ niile a ndị Katọlik na-akọ n'isi ndị ojii, ya bụ n'isi ndị Igbo, n'isi ndị nna nna anyị ha nọ ebubo ka ọ bụ. Ha kwupụtara otu ha si etinye ọgba aghara dị iche iche n'etiti ndị isi ojii. Gwa m ihe i chere banyere ajụjụ njụrụ ihe mere na ndị isi ụka anyị n'ala anyị bụ ala Igbo, ya bụ ma bishọp o ma reverend fathers o ma ndị sisters, ihe mere na ha adịghị agwa ndị nne na nna anyị nke bụ eziokwu banyere nkwupụta ndị isi ha na-enye gbasara arụ ha na-akpa na arụ ndị ha kpaburu n'oge gara aga n'ala ndị isi ojii. Tụsa ihe onyonyo a ka ụmụnne anyị ndị nke na-amabeghị nke bụ eziokwu nwee ike ịma nke bụ eziokwu. Chukwu gọzie gị ka ọ dị oge ọzọ.